Great.
All set.
So welcome to the Capital Subcommittee meeting. We've had a rather long hiatus, a meeting, but a lot of work has happened in between. I think we'll wait for Mariah to do that. We'll do the minutes in between or at the end. Okay, Betsy?
Sure.
And I think we'll start with Charlie. And of course, I don't have my agenda up here in front of me, which I should, but it's close by. So we'll start with the update first on the FY23 repair and maintenance budget. Let's start there.
Let's see if I can share the screen here.
I'm just trying to go in order, sort of what we've done.
There we go.
We have budgeted for next year and what's planned. Perfect.
All right, so we're doing well in the repair and maintenance budget. We are coming to a close. No real surprises. The extra money I'm very, very thankful for, and it worked out well. We do have a number, very high number for encumbrances, so I'm waiting for some projects and mostly bills to come in. We have about 3 weeks left to the fiscal year. Most of this is, well, there's AC, there's some boiler work we have to do with the Ridley, believe it or not, and a hot water heater at the Runkle.
Why would you have boiler work at Ridley?
The second boiler failed at Ridley.
Is that under warranty?
The heat exchanger is under warranty. And we have a 10-year warranty on all the parts. Unfortunately, we still have to take the boiler apart, ship it back to the company, and then they ship us a new heat exchanger. It costs about $50,000 to tear the boiler apart and put it back together again.
And they're not responsible?
They're responsible. They're giving us a new heat exchanger.
Yeah, but
Yeah, I know. It's town council's aware of this again. We had this happen about a year and a half ago. It's a bad design, frankly. They know it. I'm not expecting they originally said we're gonna have to test it. I don't even think they're gonna test it. They know that there's a problem. I've been hearing all over. It's called the Cadmus boiler, and they just had problems with it. But the way the agreement was let off on the warranty, we still have to take it apart and put it back together.
Huh.
At some point in time, frankly, I expect the third one to fail. I did ask for a price. How much would it cost for a different kind of boiler instead of doing this,
yeah,
spending all this money? And I'm getting numbers between $100,000 and $125,000 for a different model. So it's really not worth it. But it appears that the heat exchanger, the new one they gave us for the first boiler is fine. And it is stainless steel. It should last forever. They probably got the defect fixed, whatever went wrong, so.
but we still have one more to go, probably.
We do. It could hold, you never know, but
Mhm.
I'm doubtful.
Okay. So that's the big one, the
That's the big one.
417 that's encumbered, but not.
Yeah, we've got domestic hot water heater failed at the Runkle. It's about 15 years old. We're doing some work at the various buildings, getting the AC, the large air conditioning systems up and running because it's been warm. Waiting for the bills to come in on that. And we have some boiler PM work. The boiler man is just waiting for us to pretty much shut down the heat so we can do the PM work on the boilers. We got to start on them early. Fortunately, we've had the heat on for a couple of days. Now we got the air conditioning on again. It's crazy weather.
Yeah, totally.
I expect them to be done though, June 30th, and the bills will be in, so.
So the AC work, I'm not sure I heard what you said. Did we put in any more split units, or are we?
Not this, we put everything in that we had put in at the beginning of the fiscal year. This is the PM, the larger air conditioning units, like at Ridley. We get them started up for the summer and
I see.
make sure everything's ready to go.
Okay. Is there anything else anybody else has a question about?
Mariah has her hand raised. You may not be able to see it, Helen.
I don't. Oh, now I
Okay.
do. Hi, Mariah. Welcome.
Thank you. Charlie, you might have said this already because I came in late, but what are the three different versions of the budget?
He didn't say, and that's a good
No, I
question.
didn't say. That's a good question.
Is one, I'm assuming one
So-
is July 1 and one is the post-town meeting, special town meeting, but I don't know.
This would be July 1st.
Uh-huh.
If you go down, she doesn't have it here. We were putting money into the budgets, transferring, if you recall, because I don't have HVAC people. So I put more money in the budget twice.
But that shouldn't have changed the dollar amount, right?
No, it would have, because I'm taking money out of salaries and putting it in repairs.
But why would that have changed the dollar amounts?
Because I put in an extra $150,000. So between the beginning of the fiscal year and now, that's how much money I have for school repair and maintenance.
But where did the 150,000 come from?
Oh, because it's probably benefits.
No, it came from salaries for tradesmen, HVAC tradesmen, that I have not been able to fill in the position.
Oh, I see, because this is just the non-personnel costs of I see. Okay.
So I might as well put the money into the budget. Frankly, it goes in the HVAC because I gotta use outside contractors, so. That's what we
Got
end
it, got it. Okay, so the July 1st number, and then you shifted money over twice.
Yeah, we usually do it twice.
Okay, so that's line 43, 44, and whatever's happening below that, maybe a
Yeah.
third, another line. Okay. Thank you. That was helpful to understand.
One
And then
other
can I,
question-
oh, go
go
ahead.
ahead.
Helen, sorry.
No, if you have another question, go ahead.
I just was asking, so the total I can't read the numbers. I'm sorry. I'm like trying to read on the screen. It's not okay. So it looks like there's maybe $70,000. Is that correct?
We have between the ARPA money that we got in the repair and maintenance, these two, so it's about $100,000.
But the ARPA can be carried over,
Correct, yeah, I can.
and the
So that's
RNS
the,
can be carried over?
is that line 38 minus line 36? Is that the 104? So it's the 3,588,203 minus the 3,484,184. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
But it
But
can
as
be 20
I'm mentioning, I still have 3 months left of the fiscal year. I do have a lot of encumbrances. But I'm expecting a lot of bills, and I don't know exactly where the bills will end up. So,
Wait, but you don't have 3 months left, right? You have 3
I'm
weeks.
sorry, 3 weeks.
Oh, okay, good. Okay, thank you.
But the repair and maintenance that looks like there's 27,000 remaining. If that doesn't get spent, what happens to it?
We'll go back to the,
That's what I was afraid of.
yeah.
So
But
how,
I've been over these numbers for the last week and a half with my bookkeeper. I'm meeting with the electrician tomorrow. Where's his number? 43.
right,
Because he has an awful problem giving me bills, and then his bills are always higher than we encumber. So I'm trying to get him to give me his bills this week. But if it does go up higher, say it went up by 20,000, I'd have the money here to cover it. I don't want
yeah.
to budget.
No, I mean, you don't want to be so tight that you can't be
No.
under.
But I would,
Oh, money.
well, as you were alluding to, if these are short, or there's something blows up between now and June 30th, I'd be taking the extra money right here.
Right,
Since ARPA can be carried over, I'll do that last. So,
and if you were to keep it, could you use it, let's say, for painting?
Yeah.
This year as opposed to next year?
yes.
Okay, so there's a way of using that money. It's not gonna
No,
go back
no,
to,
that's not gonna disappear.
that's what I was trying to ask.
Yeah.
Matt,
No, that's the question. How much of that money is likely to get turned back to the town, Charlie? Is it 700,000 that's encumbered?
Yeah, it's 700 now.
Or 700 now, 3 weeks to go, bills to come in. Are we potentially turning back $200,000 to the town?
No, where did you get 200,000?
Just ballparking it.
No,
based on percentages, because you got 20% of the budget is encumbered. And if you spent 80% of it, then, 20% left of what you had encumbered would be 200,000. So, I mean,
No.
in prior years, we've turned back six figures. Just curious what you think it'll be for this year.
it's not gonna be six figures. I don't have the exact number till obviously June 30th, but most of these companies were pretty good. These are the ones here that I'm keeping an eye on. Here's another one I'm not really crazy about either. This is
But that was my next question.
yeah, so this number here is window washing, and I had problems with my first window washing company. And they said they could get the work done by June 30th. And then frankly, they dropped the ball, and I had to get another company in. I'm not sure if I can get all the windows washed by June 30th. But we're gonna try.
Well, but if the work has to be done, or it has,
Yeah, the work
I
has
mean,
to.
if you have a contract, can't you pay for it afterwards, even if?
Well, I can pay for it any time, but the physical work has to be done before the end of the fiscal year.
I see. All right, well, I'll leave it to you to figure out how to use that money and the painting, and maybe, if the painters are ready to go and the window washers aren't, maybe you change it up.
Well, my ultimate goal would be, frankly, to give back hardly any money. I mean, because it doesn't go anywhere, and I do some error coding and put money back into ARPA. Because I know I can carry that on forever.
Oh, can you put some of that back into ARPA?
Yeah, I can error code before June 30th. So if it
Okay.
gets that close, that's one of my things here, because I got a kind of confirmation from the second window cleaner. Of course, it keeps raining, so that doesn't help, but it's almost $50,000 to clean the windows, and I really would think we should get the windows cleaned like we've been doing every year, so. But we'll see.
It makes me happy.
Yeah. Well, we want to make Helen happy, so.
No, I think looking through clean windows makes a difference.
It does.
And I appreciate you doing it last year, and I'm hoping we're gonna get them in this year.
Well, say a worst case situation, I'd switch the money with ARPA, and then we use the ARPA July 1st to get the windows done in July.
Right.
But
Good
that's,
idea. Okay, any other, I see Matt still has a question, or is it just from before, Matt?
That was from before, sorry.
Mine
Oh,
is a
that's
new
okay.
question.
Mariah, yeah.
So the 34, the whatever we're at, 3,500-ish, and remind me, about 800,000 of that was ARPA. What was the split between ARPA and operating funds? There it is, 500.
it's 500 for ARPA.
Okay,
This 390 was that CIP mistake that they put into the budget, and this is what we got for an increase, 2.5%.
So if for some reason.
wait, Helen, can I ask my question?
Oh, sure, go ahead.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I thought you were done.
No, my question is, so can you just remind, maybe everyone else remembers, I don't remember, what is the school maintenance budget for FY24? How does it compare to
We're gonna get
FY23?
there.
It's essentially, it's an increase based on the Driscoll. That's the only difference. And I have an estimate for the new Driscoll coming online. Frankly, I didn't get to that number yet, but it's the same number that's been floated and approved in your budget.
But I don't remember what it is. Are we going to talk about it in a minute?
Yeah, we can.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I don't have it right in front of me again.
I
Sorry,
thought,
look,
we're gonna talk about FY24, so we should have some of that, right?
We should. I can call it the FY24 budget, but it's
Okay.
gonna be the same kind of a format as
But
this.
before you do that, let's go back down again.
Yeah,
So if, for instance, something happened and it wasn't 417 in the HVAC and there was leftover, all of that, whatever's left over, you can put into ARPA, right?
yeah, I would just error code it into
So
ARPA.
nothing's going back to the town.
No, unless I'm gonna carry some money around, because if I don't get the bills by June 30th and I pay a bill, say July 7th, and the bill is more than I've encumbered, I have to have a little bit of money to pay for that. So I'm gonna carry over a little bit of money. Now, suppose all the bills were perfect right on, and I carried over a little money and I can't use it for anything, that money would go back. So I'm gonna have to carry something over.
Okay,
It's just the way it works with operating budgets, so.
all right. All right, but at least we're doing much better than what we have been doing, if I understood what Matt was saying.
Much better, yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
I like that. Is there any other issues that we should know about with any of these the glass and window repairs? I see one of the interests, I mean, that's just sort of what happens during the year, right? The glass and windows, you give an estimate, if you had 10 windows go out, you might use it all, but if you only have one, you
True,
only use
Yeah.
half.
we're doing better. That was
Yeah,
my estimate, and we're right on, I mean, we're doing very good, so.
okay. On any of the other supplies, are any of the other ones something we should know about?
This hazmat went up a little higher.
Okay, is that because of the rats?
No, there was a leak at Baldwin, and we've been doing a lot of air quality testing here and there. I think there was also Matt, you might be able to help me. I think there was an asbestos report that we made, one or two, I can't remember.
Oh, yeah, for
A
that
hair,
was last year, correct, for the extended day. They
so
needed that.
what else is, I mean,
When do you think we'll be able to get back into Baldwin, Charlie?
well, you could get back to it right now, but it needs a lot of work. And I think that you need to invest somewhere around 200,000 to 250. The building, as I mentioned before, Matt, in previous emails, we haven't been putting any money into it because it was going to be torn down or something.
Yeah, I know.
And
But-
it is.
So
time.
what are those things and when can we do it so we can move in there and sort of stay there for a little while without having to make this a seasonal move in and out?
Let's see if I can find that sheet.
Charlie's looking for something.
Yeah, I just gotta find a sheet here.
Oh, I'm telling Matt because he's on a
Yeah.
phone, he can't see.
Oh, crap. Well,
Maybe-
no, it's not on that sheet either. I can give you, and in general, I can give you an updated list, but I wanted to paint, and fix the ceilings. That was about $50,000. There's flooring, which is about $50,000. And I wanted to upgrade the electric service because I want to put in heat pumps and energy recovery ventilators like we have in the other buildings. The service originally was $150,000, which I think is ridiculous. So I'm trying to get that price down.
That's a lot for a little building.
I
That's a
know,
lot for a
it
little
is
building.
really a lot of money. And I was told that if I ordered this was about 2 months ago, if I ordered the panel for the building, it would take 53 weeks to show up.
What?
Yeah,
Well, we had problems getting panels
Everywhere.
for the high school project and a little bit for Driscoll, but Driscoll, they ordered earlier
yeah.
and it turned out to not be an issue, but I think they were being conservative when they gave you that estimate.
Well, I told YES to go find another estimate and give me something else. And I'm going to be meeting the owner tomorrow on that. That's the biggest nut that I have. I'm also looking at trying to clean up the bathrooms, making the building a little bit more handicapped accessible. So there's 2 bathrooms, one upstairs and one downstairs.
Yeah.
One downstairs is pretty tired. I do not have any monies included to put in an elevator because frankly, that's probably close to $300,000 or $400,000, even if it was a lift. And most of the, the other stuff is maintenance stuff, roofing and windows. The windows were painted. There's nothing major. One of the last things I like to do on the heating system, it's a boiler. The boilers are in good shape, but they use steam. And one of the complaints in the building was it's always overheating. Well, that's what happens with steam buildings. So I wanted to convert it over to forced hot water. And I still don't have that price. So I don't know, $50,000 for that. It'll make the building feel a little bit more comfortable. And it'll actually run a little bit better. So I originally was getting numbers between 250 and 300,000, but as I mentioned, I don't believe the service is that high. So, but in any event, whatever the number is X, we have to have a source of money to do this. I can do some with repair and maintenance, but I can't do that scale.
But we have a mini CIP for
You
next year,
do,
right?
you do, absolutely.
Ah, okay.
Um,
So Charlie, what I would do first, actually, since the ceiling is chipping and stuff is falling, is repair that if you're able to get somebody in with any end of the year funds.
I understand, and you might be able to correct me, but under the classroom capacity, there was some money set aside to relocate to Clark Road, and potentially that could be used for Baldwin as well.
Yeah, there's 115,000. We do need some of that money to move out
Mhm.
of Clark Road. So let me take a look at what we can do in-house and where we're gonna move people to, because right now I have people going in draft mode to Driscoll, the high school, Baldwin, and potentially Newberry, if I can't find a landing space for people.
Mhm.
So a lot of this work, how long would it, because those people don't have to move necessarily until next year, but we're trying to start the process. How long would it take to get this work done, do you think, Charlie?
If we didn't do a full-blown renovation, probably 3 to 6 months, chipping away at it. Unless for some reason it's true about this panel being 53 weeks, but
Uh-huh.
um,
But you could live in there without the panel.
you could, but there wouldn't be any heat pumps. There wouldn't be any air conditioning per se. We'd be plugging in the window air conditioners again, which is great.
I see.
And there wouldn't be any energy recovery ventilation, which is what I'd want to put in, like we've done in the other buildings. So,
Uh-huh.
You could call Griffin Electric or Daigle and see if they can just give you a better time frame.
just a side note, we were planning on doing some work at the main library, partially electrifying it. And that will require all new switchgear. And the engineer told me it's going to take a long time to get the switchgear. And I said, yeah, let me have it. He had 81 weeks for the switchgear for the main library, which I said, that is incredible. That's impossible. But he did mention that you can rent electrical equipment now. There's a brand new, whole new industry where you rent electric panels per day, per week, per month. And you order the new equipment. And when it comes in, they actually come in and remove the old panel and they give you the new panel so that you can keep these projects going. Very expensive.
Yeah,
Interesting business
I
model.
gotta admit, yeah, well, they have one panel and everybody wants to buy it. So they said, well, how about we rent it to you and then we take it back and rent it again and again and again. So they make 10 times what the panel's worth.
Right.
So he was suggesting that, which I'm not doing, by the way.
Oh.
So anyway.
Okay, well, let's hold these thoughts on Baldwin until we get to FY24. So we're pretty good, it looks to me. Does anybody have any more comments on FY23?
Well, I do have one more thing I gotta bring up.
Yeah.
Let me pop this one up. So you might have heard there's a huge deficit in energy.
I was wondering when you were going to bring that up.
Yeah, it's somewhere between $750,000 and $800,000.
Just the schools or the schools and town?
No, the town's got an issue with the main library, but it's about 50. And I think recreation had a small issue, but it's mostly the schools. If you I know Mariah asked for some data. We're still putting something data together, and I've been working a lot with Charlie Young because he's been asking for more different data and looking at it differently. But overall, for gas, it's been a mild winter. There was something strange happening at the high school complex that I don't exactly agree with the numbers. We did have a big meter issue over there, but what we're finding out is for the cost of electricity and the cost of gas, the price has gone up. Now, we have a fixed contract for the supply. What we don't have is the utilities cost that they can change if they go to the Department of Public Utilities. And they have increased their costs for transmission, for, let's see, for demand, for solar, for the rebates, all those things. And it equates to be 7 and 10%. So even though we were okay, mostly, and the utilities, we'll say electric and gas, big picture though, a lot of the increases because of our costs, our unit costs have gone up. Now, of that, there's the issue with 22 Tappan. So 22 Tappan, when we first went into the building, we only occupied it that fiscal year 5 months. Now this fiscal year is going to be 12 months. Okay. And essentially between last year and this year, we were level funded for utilities. And if you recall, last fiscal year, we were short $450,000. So if we're level funded this fiscal year, we're short anyway to begin with. So that's part of the big chunk of it. Going back to 22 Tappan, we have to add in 7 months. That's another problem that we have. And as I mentioned in the past, there's something up with the HVAC system. It is not working correctly.
It still hasn't been fixed.
No, I'm meeting with another engineer next week, and we're going to go over essentially hiring them through town council to review the entire system.
Uh-huh.
They're going to come up with a fix. The contractor and the architect are still on notice. Their attorneys are still on notice. They're aware that we're going to do this, and they're going to be brought in at some point because we're not paying for that. They're going to
And
have
can
to.
we recoup the overage from them? If
That's
we're-
my
if-
goal. Yeah. In my opinion, we're using at least an extra $100,000 at 22 Tappan because of electricity. It's something that isn't run right.
Yeah.
And I base that on how the Ridley runs. It's supposed to be the same kind of a building.
Right.
I finally got energy modeling numbers back from the architect, from the original engineer. And I compared those, and it's all in line. Their numbers show that this building should be using a lot less electricity. Gas is fine overall. But
Charlie, it's the heat recovery units. They don't seem to turn off. They take the outside air in, and when they recycle it through the building, it gets reheated, even though they're chilling the air to take the dehumidification out, and it blows out warm air, warmer than the outside air temperature, and that shouldn't happen.
no,
It should be cooler, or it should be at least the same temperature when it runs through the process. But in all likelihood, it should be cooler. So when it's coming out warmer, it's because the heat recovery units are not shutting off
well,
from the system. And the engineers, I don't know, that's drawing energy, and it's a total waste doing the opposite of what it's supposed to do when it's supposed to be cooling and chilling the building.
well, it's not cooling the building. It's dehumidifying the building. This is the original architect's point of view. We asked them to do the same kind of system as Ridley. Ridley is dehumidifying the building. A byproduct of that is the air happens to be a little cooler. It feels like it's air conditioning. It really isn't, but it is cooler and it's much drier. So for this system, yeah, the air is coming out warmer, but it's drier, which is their goal. They said that's what we're looking for. But as you mentioned, things are running too long. I think the chiller is too small. I think it runs almost 24/7 in the summer.
Yeah.
And it's just something's wrong.
The chiller's too small. The air ducts going into those science labs are much too small.
Yeah.
Guys, we're not going to be able to solve this problem here
No.
today. I think it's important we know there's a problem there. And we'll be getting updates from you probably in the next couple meetings, knowing what the fix is, because obviously they're still working on it. hopefully they'll also contribute to some of the overage on the utilities.
Well, they'll have to.
Helen, can I ask a question?
Sure, Mariah.
So Charlie, are you going to advisory for a reserve fund transfer?
Yeah, that's on Monday.
Okay, do you need anyone to go or to like
No.
back it up? You're good, okay,
I'm gonna go with Charlie Young.
okay,
We should be all right.
okay.
Okay,
And then my
Okay.
second question is for FY 24, given that FY 23 was already shorted by 450 and FY 24 was level funded, what were you were given a little bit extra? I can't remember what you said.
$180,000.
Right, so now we're in the whole like close to $1 million. I guess my question is there anything that we should be doing as a school committee to express our, I don't know if it concerns the right word, but to note the fact that we all see this coming? Like, should we be doing anything to flag the fact that if we're already $800,000 under for this year, and they only gave you 100,000, then we're looking at least another 500,000, if not more, 600, 700, whatever it is. What
Yeah,
should we be doing, if anything, for FY 24 is my
I
question.
mean, there's a different administration on the 6th floor, and I think they're very well aware of what happened between the fiscal years, and they know that next year is going to be short. I did ask for more money, more than $180,000, but it was decided that they would use their number, which is fine. But we are going to be short next year.
Okay,
No doubt about it. The exact number I don't know yet, because a lot of it has to do with Driscoll, the new Driscoll coming online, and when is it going to come online? And that building will not use gas, but it will use a lot more electricity because it's an electric building, so.
I think, I know you mentioned that I mentioned this before, and I do really think it would be very valuable when you and Charlie Young are done with your analysis to understand what's going on, because we're talking about such large numbers for the utility overages, so.
We are. It's unfortunate. I mean, a lot of this had to do with, and it's really no one's fault. When we had COVID, everything shut down, and the schools are so active. They had so many programs, nights and weekends, plus teaching during the day, that it screwed everything up. And we were basing it on a number of years of averages, which were off. And then you factor in that the cost per unit went up. It just mucked it all up. And we should have earlier put more money in, so that it wouldn't have been so severe, frankly. In any event, actually, I have to leave at 5 o'clock to go to the select board meeting, because he's going to bring that up first. We have to get their permission first, and I'm going to meet Charlie Young there, so. If you wanted to jump ahead to FY 24 stuff.
yes, I do, because I don't think that's something we're not going to be able to solve the utility problem right now. It sounds like you're working on it.
Yeah,
If there's something that we can do to help out with it, you'll let us know. So let's go to FY 24. And
FY 24 budget is, well, it includes the increase this year that you gave me, the
You
350.
have the budget to put up, the spreadsheet?
Do you see it in front of you?
No, I see FY 23 still.
That's FY 24. You should be able to see it.
Does anybody else see it?
Can you try resharing, Charlie? We still see the old budget.
Yeah,
If you can stop sharing and then start again on the new spreadsheet.
There we go. Sorry about that. There we go. Oh, there we go. Is that better?
Yep.
All right.
What's the bottom line?
Bottom line is 3,000,000. 6 and change.
360. And that was about what we wound up spending this year, correct?
Yeah. Yeah, well,
A little, 100,000 less.
yeah. So as I
You have
mentioned,
you have
go
two
ahead.
numbers there, Charlie. I don't understand. You have 3,634,000.
oh, this is, when I add this up, this is just my homework. This is
Oh.
delta. It's actually, this is
Okay.
the right number, because a
Okay, thank you.
lot of these have estimates, and then I gotta frankly use a
Sure.
number of $194 to make it come out right. So what I did, big picture, is I took this year's number And the correction is Driscoll. So I subtracted what we've been paying for Driscoll for repairs over the years. And then I used the numbers, meeting with the engineer, what we think we'd be paying for repairs and maintenance, testing and all that. And I used the delta and I increased the budget by that much. It's not a huge amount of money. Again, the Driscoll School is going to be probably the most complex building I've ever seen, being all electric. So I wish I had some HVAC techs that worked for me that we could go into the building together and work together. And I'm nervous about hiring outside contractors if it should happen, but the building will require more maintenance, obviously, than the old building, a lot more maintenance.
Because, can you explain that?
It's the controls. It's all electric. It's basically a large air conditioning unit, and you're getting your energy from the ground. So there's all these controls that have to work perfectly in order to supply heat for the building.
But the geothermal won't be working till next year, probably.
Correct.
All right. Okay, any other questions about FY24 on the our repair and maintenance budget? Can you go back up a little so we can just sort of see if there's anything that sticks out, or like the HVAC, what happened with, is that
I bumped it up.
this year was quite high? Is it, you're still assuming?
I'm gonna go a little higher. I'm presuming it's gonna be because of Driscoll. That's what I'm bumping it up by.
But we shouldn't be repairing anything there.
No, this is just testing and maintenance. We have to change the air filters. We have to do some other routine testing to make sure it's working right.
Uh-huh. And usually every heating system that we've ever put in new doesn't work right.
Yeah, that is absolutely true.
I think
Unfortunately.
we have it, we're on a roll there.
Yeah, I think I mentioned in a previous meeting, I finally got the air and water balancing report for 22 Tappan Street about 2 months ago.
Wow,
And we've been in the building for over 18 months. So,
right.
I mean, it is what it is. So maybe it'll be better at Driscoll. We'll see.
All right, let's go to the sexier stuff, the CIP.
Fun stuff.
Sorry.
let
I mean,
me-
this is.
Ellen, you got to get out more.
yeah, let's see, what else we got?
Charlie, do you mind sharing these spreadsheets, emailing them afterwards so we can have them too?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
What's up? So, one of the things that's different this year is the mini CIP. We have $1 million plus. We have a great plan, I think, and working with the school department together like we used to do 100 years ago when we had this money. I think this is going to be great for you guys. It's going to really show that you're maintaining the buildings, and frankly, the buildings need this kind of work. Helen's been frankly very helpful. And unfortunately, Helen, you got to pick colors. You're holding me up here.
We're doing it tomorrow.
Promise you pick a color.
Well, the Baker is done.
Baker's done,
it's
yes.
a little more
Baker.
complicated.
But you gotta give me some colors. The painter's getting very nervous over there.
I hear you, Charlie. I hear you.
So overall, the estimates and the budgets, we're getting quotes that are better for the most part, and we're under budget. I think we shifted gears a little bit. We pulled away from Runkle. We're doing more work at the new Lincoln, which is fine. We should get
Let me
this all.
just
Oh, go ahead.
Explain one thing. So I think I said it at school committee, but for those who didn't hear it, we determined we're doing the first floor of Lincoln and we're trying to get it all finished, rather than going a little bit here and a little bit there to another school. Lincoln hasn't really, nothing has been done in there for, well, almost nothing since it opened in 94. So, there's going to be, it's going to look really refreshed, come at least the first floor.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
No, that's fine. That's perfect. So we met with the principal. Obviously, we met with Helen. We've been meeting with contractors. Principal's been meeting with the teachers. So we do have a plan. As soon as school gets out, we have the painter lined up, floor is lined up, And, we're getting new signage, new shades and so on. So it's going to look really sharp. I guess the only burp that happened recently is the auditorium. And I wanted Sarah to be here today. Unfortunately, she couldn't make it, but she's been working with Karen King, and I don't believe we will have a plan to recover the seating before school starts.
Doesn't
that's
look like it.
true.
We're having trouble getting quotes.
Yeah.
My
So
sense- Go ahead.
what we were originally going to do is we're going to have a company redo the seats. We, town staff, we're going to remove all the seating so that, number one, they could just take out the top and the bottom and they refinish them and put them back together again. And two, it'll help with the carpeting and frankly, the painting. I don't think it's beneficial to tear everything apart, paint and carpet and not do the seats and then come back 6 months from now and then tear it all apart again. So we might have to hold off on that until maybe a week holiday break. And line people
Either,
up.
either that, depending on how quickly they can get the chairs done and the carpet tiles in. I think we may want to think about holding off on that. And I think we also held off on the library.
We did.
did that because the library is going to get the fairly new Pierce School shelves.
Correct.
So those two pieces we're sort of playing with them, whether it makes more sense to wait to do them next year and use the money here for something else that we can do.
Yeah,
And maybe we use that money for Baldwin,
maybe.
that may accomplish something. Yes, Mariah.
So that's my question is, so if I'm reading this right, you have basically 750,000 of the $1 million budgeted, right? Because I'm removing out the 100,000 for the auditorium.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
So what would be the plan to spend the other 250?
Well, I
If the
think
auditorium falls through, or even like, what would be the plan to spend the 150 even if we do the auditorium?
well,
Right.
I would say, I don't want to interrupt Helen, but I'd say we're probably going to hold the auditorium as a placeholder for right now until we get more information about the seating. We were originally going to do more work at the Runkle, and we pulled back on that. We could do more work at Runkle. Talked about doing some painting over there. It's really whatever you guys want as your priority. This is mostly the work that's being done. We did order the flooring for the Runkle, and we got the work plan for the auditorium at the Baker. I'm sorry, the flooring at the Baker. And most of this has all been planned out. If you wanted to add some more rooms, we did add some, let's see.
Carly, does this reflect that we're just resurfacing we're not putting any carpeting in the Baker Auditorium?
Correct. No, we're
That's what this reflects. Okay.
we are doing some rooms for flooring at the Heath as well. That was agreed upon with the principal. That was his priority.
So do we as a committee, Helen, need to make any decisions on like directing staff to fill in the gaps to do more of the work?
Either that or to do what we need to do at Baldwin. I mean,
Yeah.
this is money that would be available now or in July to do that work so that we could habilitate that building.
To do what work? I thought we had money in for a Baldwin study.
It wasn't funded.
Exactly, but I thought that with CIP money, it's been named and we can't just slosh it around to other functions that weren't articulated in the vote.
So
Charlie?
Charlie, what is this?
I
what is
would
this-
support going to Carlos and the advisory that this would be your priority, and I would support your priority. Obviously, it needs to be done.
This
If you
is
feel
a
that it's important, it should get done.
this is a warrant article, so it can go past the end of the fiscal year, correct?
Correct. It's CIP money that'll last forever.
So, I mean, we have some time, but my initial suggestion is, the priorities would be Lincoln and Baldwin. Lincoln, we want to finish what we started per floor, provided the schedule works. And if not, maybe we wait and we take some of the pieces of the money left and start in on some of the things to make Driscoll habitable, even though we
Baldwin,
haven't
you mean?
studied it. Baldwin, to make Baldwin habitable.
I would add that if you did want to do more flooring, I really need to know that yesterday because the floor guy is getting booked up solid for the summer.
Right.
And he did get all the orders in and they will be here and he will be starting, well, June 21st, but he will get all the work done. But I could probably add in 1 or 2 rooms, but not 10 more rooms. We'd have to wait for another break. So.
Mariah, was your hand still up or?
Well, so I guess my question is, because I'm still confused, when we're talking about Baldwin, are you talking about actually doing work at Baldwin or the study? Because work to me seems to fit within the existing CIP purposes
Right.
were approved. And
I don't know if you were here when we discussed, Charlie was saying it would be about 250 to maybe 300 to habilitate Baldwin to the point where we could use it decently.
for staff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that would solve some of our problems in terms of where people from Clark Road will go to.
So do we need to take like a vote on shifting gears from the auditorium for
think that
this?
would-
year?
I think that, well, let's see, I mean, the one caveat, well, there's 2 caveats. So one, if we were to get a bid on the auditorium chairs and they were to be able to do it within the next month or so, I would prefer to finish the auditorium there and do the painting and get that finished, right? I think that makes sense. They're there, the workmen are there, the flooring people are there. But if we can't, and we'll know that in the next week or so, then it would make more sense to possibly use those money, start to get bids, for the Baldwin to see what we could get done with the amount of money that might be left over from what we have.
But can
here.
we make that decision today? Basically, if you don't get the quotes you need for the auditorium next week, then go ahead and
I take
assume.
that as a motion.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you.
I think it is a good idea for us to weigh in. That helps Charlie too, to know where we want to go.
Yep, that'd be very helpful.
I'll second it. And Andy
I'll vote yes.
and Nancy
Yes.
and Mariah.
Yes.
Okay, so we have a plan A and
Are
a
you gonna
plan
vote?
B.
Are you voting, Helen?
Oh, and then I vote yes. I'm sorry. It was unanimous. Thank you for reminding me. I always forget to vote. But I think we have a plan A here and a plan B, which is a good way to make sure that the monies get used and used well and logically here. Okay. Any other questions about the mini CIP for FY24?
Just one question, Charlie, and I guess Matt too, have all of the quotes come in other than the upholstery? There's a couple blanks here. I'm just not sure if that means,
Um,
oh, some of them are marked next summer. Sorry. So that's what I'm seeing.
yeah,
Okay,
some of
in-house.
them haven't, and we're still waiting for some quotes, I believe, for some handling work here. So this is still an estimate.
Okay, got it.
And there may be a little bit more to fix. Oh, you have for cleaning and repairing the curtains, or probably just repairing the curtains at
No, we got quotes. Those should be, I can't read the number, but we should have the fixed number for replacement both at Baker and at Lincoln.
at
We should
Baker's
replace-
10,000. That's the quote. I don't know what that's for exactly, but
I think that's
that's
for the stage curtain and the windows.
and the windows.
I believe so.
That seems like,
The
And it was
window
like
curtains, not the windows, you mean, right?
window curtains, yes.
yeah,
And
I
then
know.
the
That's-
stage curtain for the Lincoln stage was under $5,000.
Oh, okay.
And it'd be a good thing to do, to, we're buying them from Flame Out LLC, so they'll meet the current flame retardant requirements. As things get old, sometimes the chemicals they spray on it deteriorate and don't work as well. So it's good that we replace them in both places.
Okay.
Helen, Carla Banker is an attendee and she has her hand raised. I don't know if you want to
Oh,
entertain
okay,
a
Carla,
question.
sure,
Allow her to talk.
yeah.
Carla, we should be able to hear you if you want to make your question.
Thank you. I just want to confirm, are you talking about using fiscal 23 classroom capacity money for Baldwin?
No, this is actually fiscal 24.
This is, yeah, 24 repair and maintenance.
No, mini CIP was for FY.
I'm sorry, mini
Okay,
CIP.
so
Yeah.
not classroom capacity funding.
No.
Okay. Okay.
Well, wait a minute, can I clarify that so that I understand? I thought that on the classroom capacity, whatever the number is, $1 million, I thought there was also a portion of money set aside to
Yes.
move to Clark Road out. To some,
That's
Yes, there was
correct.
115,000 that was voted by advisory.
That's right.
By,
so that would be under FY 24 money.
For
under classroom
movers,
Capacity.
and whatever repairs needed to set up like new office space.
Okay,
Is that specifically stated in the project description?
Should be.
Yep. And then on that part, this is the mini CIP that we're looking at here. That's the other CIP.
It's a classroom capacity. It's mostly rentals, but yeah, there's a moving expense to move the offices in and out.
Okay, all I'm suggesting is that you better clear that with Melissa because they're pretty.
Yeah, it was in the budget. I got asked about it a bunch of times. They should know it's there.
It may be in the budget, but if it wasn't in the project description that town meeting voted, then there's a question of whether town meeting actually authorized that. We've run into this in the past. And that's why it's so important that those project descriptions are very carefully worded.
Carla, I don't know what the project description said, but I was at the advisory committee when they voted that.
Okay.
And I heard it at town meeting, but we can try and check it. Thank you.
Yeah, to Carla's point, just to be safe, let's run it past Melissa, no?
Yeah, no problem. I think Matt or Charlie can do that to make sure that what we think it is, it is.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Carla.
Thanks, Carla.
Yep.
Okay, so, and now we have, okay, repair and maintenance we've done, FY 23 CIP, okay. Timelines we did with the CIP. Most of the work will be done during the summer, if not all. We don't have a contract. And Charlie, I think one question that I have is, I know we're just starting on this, but pretty soon the new CIP will be coming up.
Mhm.
And we need to start thinking about that. So what is the time frame that we need to think about if we get another mini CIP for next year, which it's like we might?
Yeah, it looks like we might. I'd say it's probably gonna be around the same amount of money, maybe $1 million, maybe even a little bit more because you won't have the 2 Clark Road lease. I would start prioritizing a list for next summer. And I would plan on, if you could, not occupying the new Lincoln School next summer, so we can do at least the 2nd floor, maybe even the 3rd floor. Depending on-
Right, finish it off.
I would finish it off 100%, and then I would plan on the next building, whether that's a Heath or a Runkle, probably be a Runkle. And then I would have that huge $17 million list. We should all go through it line by line again. It's probably changed. It may have been needed to be reprioritized, or maybe even added to. And have that available is probably by September 1st would be best, so that we know going into the budget year, we all have the plan of what we're going to be doing.
So it sounds like maybe we need a meeting both in July and August to sort of first go over the list, check it out, maybe go and visit a couple places to see.
Yeah,
And then in August, start to get that list together so that we're prepared.
yes, I would.
Okay, Mariah. Mariah, you have your hand up.
Yep, I just needed to unmute. I just wanted to say that the town's budget book specifically says that it says the draft request is for 3 leases to continue and to modify space at the former Newbury College Library Building to prepare the space for PSB admin and support staff to relocate from Clark Road. So
Okay,
that is more specific than anything else. And the same wording is in the town meeting vote.
Yeah,
Thank you.
because we had to come up with that last August.
I'm just saying that the wording is more specific than doing it and spending in other places. So it would be
Right.
important to run it by Melissa. If we hadn't said where it was going, then it would be
Right.
clear, but it did say that. So you should definitely get clarification.
thank you. Thank you for picking that up, Mariah. Okay, are there any other questions for Charlie? Charlie, you got off easy this time.
Thank you. I do have one thing and it involves the Pierce. So we need to get together. I know this is probably going to be a subset of the overall Pierce design, but we need to get together and start planning the old Lincoln and Newbury and what needs to be done so that when you're ready to move in, it's ready to go.
Right,
I've heard a couple of different budget numbers and I've seen a couple of lists, but I would like to get together working under, the architect and the general contractor to see what we can get done over the summer into the fall and get a head start on this thing, just to make
it
sure.
may
we're all on
be
the
easier
same
to do
page.
it for the fall because we wouldn't be moving in anyways until February.
Yeah,
And people are, nobody wants to bid for the summer anymore,
no,
I would imagine. Well, why don't we take part of our next meeting and look at, or we will do it, maybe you and I and Andy will just go over and look at the buildings and together with Jamie and figure out maybe before even Matt leaves.
well, I
Yeah,
do have a draft budget for Newbury that I just threw together fast that I'll share.
Oh, okay,
It's obvious, it's not in stone or anything, but it's just to get people talking. And then we'll say the using agency's requests on top of that into the side of that, they will have to blend in, so. That would get things going, but yes, we should be meeting soon.
Charlie,
okay.
for old Lincoln this summer, we should turn on and test all the AC, make sure that those units are still working, and then in the fall, the heat, and then we can see if we need to replace any of those P-TAC units.
You can do that.
Okay, did you want to do that now or we're going to do that at another
We can do
meeting?
it in July if you want to.
Yeah, the only thing I'm sorry, Matt won't be with us in July. It's the only problem, and he knows
Well, no,
more.
we can do it now. I mean, we still got 3 weeks left of the year.
Yeah.
I
So
mean, Matt's not
Charlie,
gonna fall off the planet, he'll be
yeah.
around, so.
No, we'll send a custodian and either Ed or myself to walk through, check and make sure everything's working once Charlie says it's on, and we can tell them what rooms are not working the way they're supposed to. And that's a hint that some of those, I don't know, Charlie, what are those, 8, 10 years old? Some of those units might
about 10
be
years
on their
old.
way out. Yeah. So they're 10 years old, but they don't have 10 years of use because we use the building, then we mothball the building, then we use the building and we mothball the building. So probably going to have to replace some of those. That is part of how we built the budget for moving in, as well as playgrounds, some other space, some other items.
Okay, so why don't
We can get started.
you guys will look at that and Charlie will have a list of what needs to happen and in July we can put that on our agenda.
That's fine.
Andy's hand is up.
Yeah, Andy.
So I'm assuming that there's actually some, like, we're not really sure about the scope of work at Newbury yet because the MOA still has to be negotiated, right, between Linus and Chaz about how exactly every piece of the building will be used.
Yep, they're getting close though, I believe.
Okay, as far as I know, they've had like an initial meeting and that's it so far. So
I think staff,
I'm not sure
Yeah.
they're that close based on what I know.
Well, we're meeting again on Friday.
Yeah,
Okay.
good. Well, let's hope we can come to a really mutually good agreement. Okay, Charlie, you said you had to be somewhere at 5 and I don't
yeah, I
want
do
to
have
keep
to
you.
run the
It's
select board
5:01.
meeting.
Thank you,
So-
Charlie. Thank you for all
you're
your hard
welcome.
work. We really appreciate it. It's been a
Um,
pleasure also working with Sarah. You can let her
Thank
know
you.
that.
I will.
She and I have the same ideas about colors, so it's great.
Now, what was I gonna say? I
And so
like
does
working,
Karen, for that matter.
I like working with the schools 90% of the time. How's that?
I'm
So
sure these
I'll take
meetings are the
that.
best of the 90% too.
Yeah, always the best. Yeah, but your new building will be 100% accessible, right, Helen?
Oh, yes. It will
Okay,
be
I just want to make sure of
100%
that. All
to
right.
2000 for to 2023 standards. Maybe to 1970 standards, it was
Stop it.
90%.
Stop it. All right, I gotta run. Thank you.
Bye.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Okay.
Ooh.
So now we have Marcy, and is anybody here from Ridley?
Yep, Principal Buller is here, and I think
Oh,
she's.
there
got
you
her
are.
hand.
I'm sorry, I didn't see you. Okay. Let me sort of preface some of this and then we'll ask you guys to present and then we'll have some discussion. Is that what you're expecting?
I think we're just expecting to have a conversation
A
about
conversation. That's it. Okay.
having murals. Yeah.
Okay. So just if in terms of history, we have had some murals on buildings, not very many, but a few, basically at Lawrence and at Driscoll, that were on the exterior of the buildings. We've had a lot of artwork within buildings throughout the system. And a lot of it is most of it, if not all, is very beautiful and done by kids and reflects children, which is great. We have 2 requests here on the table right now for artwork on the exterior of buildings by both the Baker School and by the Ridley School. And what I think I'll do is let maybe Marcy go first and then Jen, and you'll just talk a little bit about your projects and what you're thinking.
Sure. I don't know if anyone got the facts sheets in advance.
I think we did. I think Betsy shared it, but
Okay. If I can share my screen, I just have a little slideshow that might be helpful.
You should be able to, Marcy. Let me know if you're having any trouble with it.
Okay. Should I be just clicking something that says share my screen?
Yes, if you bring your mouse down and hover at the bottom, you should see the green share my screen.
Ah, okay. Okay, let's see. Here we go. Okay, here we go. Great. Hi, everybody. I'm Marcy Sachs. I have 3 kids at Baker, 2 kids at Baker, 1 at the high school. And I live across the street and I have a view of it right now. I was asked by John Michael, who is in the Equity and Diversity Committee, to apply for a grant from the Brookline Commission for the Arts for a mural. And my background is as an art teacher, creative arts at Park. I've done projects similar to this before and was excited to help out. And I also was on leadership of the Diversity and Equity Committee for 2 years. So initially this was the location. Since speaking with some of you, I now understand it has to be on panels. So it would not be on this at this location because these shapes are not exactly rectangular. They're more trapezoidal. But the idea behind making the mural was to celebrate the diversity of our community. And this was just sort of a mock-up that I had submitted a few different mock-ups to the commission of what it would look like in this location, but like I said, we're since looking at other locations that would be, also would probably be half the size. I did a lot of research. I looked at all the other schools to see who has murals. Lawrence School, this mural was done 10 years ago. I've talked a lot with this mural artist, David Finkter, about his process. He's been offering guidance and I've been following his process with the exception of he got a much larger grant to work with the entire school. I have a smaller grant and it was just to work initially with 20 middle schoolers, but instead what we've been doing is working with the entire 8th grade class at Baker School. Part of that, Principal Lewis was excited about that graduating class. And also they have a public art unit. So this fit right in. And I worked with the 2 art teachers and went in and did generated artwork for the mural with them. We do have a steering committee that consists of Principal Lewis, John Michael from the Equity Baker Committee. He's also
John Michaels again, I'm sorry. Who is John Michaels? I don't know him.
Oh, sorry. John Michael is on the leadership of the Equity and Diversity Committee and the person who had asked for my help in applying for this grant. He's also a father of 2 students at Baker School, and he's a math teacher in Boston Public Schools.
Okay.
Yeah, we have a steering committee that consists of him, Principal Lewis, and Meredith Ritter, who is the art teacher at Baker School. And primarily it's to approve the creative direction of the mural. So that group, mostly with Principal Lewis, determined a theme: Welcome to Baker School, a growing community. The theme is around how they've grown how the 8th graders have grown as individual, how we've grown together as a community, and also overlapping our location of we're kind of nestled right on the horse sanctuary and growing in nature. So these are some of the things that the kids have done. There's about 42 different languages spoken by families at the Baker School. We've translated the word welcome into all of those languages, and the kids had a chance to use a light box in some cases, and they've so these are what I'm showing you now are just elements. The idea is that I would be putting these
Marcy,
together
we're
in a
going to need to go
cohesive
through this a little bit quicker. I'm sorry.
Go quicker.
Yeah, that's
Sure.
good.
And then there were nature elements. Here's some examples of what the kids have drawn already. And then there were these other images that they've drawn. So we've had a booth at the Culture Fest, getting community input on what culture means to you. We've got names of people who will be painting, who want to volunteer. I explained what the mural project was all about all day at the Culture Fest. That's John Michael in the upper right. And then the next steps, the idea was to do more of a paint by number design so that it would be easier for community members to paint this. So that's the project. I can show you the one. I have a meeting next Tuesday with Principal Lewis to talk about an alternative location. This is one thought. This is the back side of our school.
We're not
This would be
seeing that.
on panels.
We're not seeing that.
Oh, you're not? Okay, let's see. I will share. How do I, oh, here, stop share, and then I will share.
Yes.
But I plan to just walk around the school with Principal Lewis and take a look at, this is just one spot.
Okay.
Because I'm looking at things that are accessible so that you don't need a ladder.
Okay, and in your, obviously in your discussion with Charlie, he said it can't be a fix, you can't paint on the wall.
Directly on the brick,
Be-
yep. And he sent
Okay.
examples of exactly how it needs to be installed.
Right. And, okay, let's have Jen
Sure.
Thank you, Marcy. And Andy Dean is with you or with Jen? I don't,
Andy's with me.
okay.
So I probably will let Andy do most of the talking, but at FRR, our angle is a little bit different than Baker. We're looking at a mural on the front, big wall, and I think Andy, you've got the nice like photo of it. And we're looking to put a mural of Florida Ruffin Ridley with some elements about her life and kind of helping the community understand a little bit more who she is and what she worked for. Currently, other than her name on our building, we have no other pieces of who she was. And we think it's really important to be able to communicate to the community why we named our school after her and have some of that work done. So Andy, I know you've got a few things maybe to share.
Yeah, I can speak. I sent a one pager that kind of describes the project and shows the
And Andy, I'm
location.
sorry, I'm not familiar with who you are. So
Sure.
maybe, and I'm not sure if anybody else is, so maybe you could just tell us besides your name.
Absolutely, yes, yeah. And I have a whole statement I was going to read too. So thank you for your time. My name is Andy Dean. I'm a graduate of Brookline School, a current resident in South Brookline, where my kids also attend the Baker School, and I am co-chair of the Brookline Commission for the Arts, which is why I'm before you today. Myself, along with one other member of the BCA, has been leading on this project, Fran, who's not able to be here today, but we are here to kind of tell you about this project. I hope that you got the one pager that I sent. It kind of describes what we're trying to do with that project. I did want to read just a quick statement from someone else in the town who asked me to read their statement, which is Pam Roberts. She's a town meeting member. Greetings. My name is Pam Roberts. I was a parent at the Ridley School from 1998 through 2018. I was a PTO chair, sat on a principal search committee, co-led the Understanding Our Differences program for a number of years, sat on the devotion renovation committee as a parent rep, and volunteered in the school library for 14 years. I was passionate about the name change from Edward Devotion to Florida Ruffin Ridley. I was proud of the committee that came together and worked to find the absolutely perfect new name. The idea of a mural facing out onto Harvard Street thrills me. This school is so beautiful in itself. A mural can only enhance it. After all, Softigs did a mural on the side of their building a number of years ago, perpendicular to Harvard Street, that faces out onto the playground. Every new generation of children sees that mural and enjoys it. Let's treat the whole population of our town to a beautiful facade along Harvard Street. So that was Pam's statement. If you don't mind, I'll read a quick statement, just a couple of minutes that I wrote just to talk to you a little bit about public art and what we're trying to do at the BCA, and a little bit about myself. So I'm a strong believer in the power of art to build community, improve our lives, and to create wonder and joy. I'm before you today as a representation of the investment in arts in Brookline. I owe so much of my own art, my own upbringing and where I am today to my art teacher at Heath School, Mr. Pendleton, whose commitment and passion for arts really inspired my own path and creativity. I'll never forget leafing through his books of photos of murals and street art across the greater Boston area and seeing how art can make a space come alive. Where so much of our celebrated art is locked behind walls of museums, public art is of the people for the people. It brings art to us all in our everyday lives and can have a much more profound effect on our community. I first learned this 30 years ago as a member of the Boston Youth Mural Crew, transforming spaces across Boston. One of the most amazing things about painting a mural in a public space is you get to interact with the people who walk by your art every day. You get to hear their reactions to the beauty and the wonder you're bringing into their lives. I'll never forget one mural I painted where a class walked by and were so enthusiastic about the mural that the teacher had them sit right there in the hallway, and he taught his Spanish class based on what we were painting. And that is why I dedicated my career to using my creativity to inspire young people across the country. And it is why I serve my community as a member of the Brookline Commission for the Arts. So I joined the BCA right as they were kicking off a citizen-funded campaign to invest in public art here in Brookline. We are committed to bringing more art to our neighborhoods, to give our citizens a chance to interact with thought-provoking and inspiring works of art. Public art also gives us an amazing opportunity to represent our diversity and inclusivity. We know that representation matters, and when we celebrate historical figures like Florida Ruffin Ridley, or the international diversity at Baker, we are telling our children they are seen and heard, that they are important, that their background and culture matters, and that they are a part of Brookline. And murals add interest and intrigue to our community. They make our spaces more inviting and visually appealing. This leads to an improvement in the quality of life for our community and helps attract visitors, which can have positive social and economic benefits for the community. And when it comes to education, studies have shown that when we surround our children with colorful and stimulating art, they are encouraged to use their imaginations to develop new ideas and ways of thinking, and are more likely to be in a positive mood and receptive to learning. So it is important to note also that these projects can only happen because of hundreds of hours of volunteer work from committed citizens. We aren't asking for funding from the town. These projects can happen because we work to fundraise for this, because our fellow citizens want this to happen. In an engagement survey we did this past winter, 90% of respondents wanted more art at schools in Brookline, and many referenced the need for murals in their comments. In a separate survey through the Brookline Art Makes Community initiative, murals were by far the #1 requested way to spend our ARPA funding directed towards public art in commercial districts. And I'm happy to talk more about that if you have questions about the Brookline Art Makes Community initiative, which I also sit on. So I asked members of this committee to see the possibility here, that murals can inspire people to think creatively and express themselves in new ways, that they can help to create a sense of wonder and joy in public spaces and encourage people to look at their surroundings with fresh eyes. With this initiative, we can do that right here in Brookline. So there's my statement. Hopefully that wasn't too long. Thank you for your time. Happy to answer any other questions.
That was fine. I think, for me, well, Andy, do you want to, please?
Oh, I just had a very quick question. Was it which wall exactly are we talking about?
I can show
Sorry.
which
At
wall it-
FRR, Andy?
Yeah,
Or-
at FRR, yeah.
It's, I've got it pretty close, hold on. Give me 1 second.
Andy, do you have the one pager I sent?
I do.
Yeah.
It's the wall on the left-hand side that faces Coolidge Corner.
Oh, facing Coolidge. Okay, so it's not directly facing Harvard Street. It's that big blank space at the corner there. Yeah.
It's facing in?
Yeah, it's facing
Courtyard
into the courtyard.
It faces the street, and it's literally facing, the courtyard, but it's very visible from the street.
On the street,
Got
okay.
it. I see which one you're talking about now.
So, both of these projects came to me after the planning was done and people have become invested in that. And that's a hard time to be talking about projects. I certainly am 100% in favor of art and artwork. But I think that our committee is in charge of the buildings and in charge of making sure that the integrity of the buildings, we have some brand new buildings that were designed in a certain way, not necessarily designed with a mural in mind. And our building commissioner, Charlie, our building person, also has some concerns about how murals are affixed to the walls or whether we paint on the walls or not even. I think what we need, what I'm going to well, I'm going to make a suggestion and then I'd like the committee to sort of discuss it. I think we need a policy on this because I don't want people to get so far down the road and then we say, no, oh, you can't do that, or we don't, I think we need to figure out what we want, especially because we have a number of new buildings now that, there weren't murals designed into the building, and would the artwork, the same murals that you're talking about and the art that would inspire children inside the building. I mean, I don't want to govern what goes on inside the building. I think that's the purview of the principal to figure out what walls to put up artwork on, where you want to put a mural in the building. But I am concerned about the exteriors of the buildings and the integrity of them. And so I think what I would like to put forward to the committee is that we need to think about what our policy is with this in terms of the exterior. certainly if you want to put a mural of Florida Ruff and Ridley within the building, no problem. That's, your the principal's decisions. But I think the exterior is a little bit different. Mariah.
So at work, we have a public art initiative at Northeastern, and I think it's absolutely fabulous. And we have it's been going on now for maybe 5 or 6 years, maybe even a little longer. And so many buildings around campus have been covered by really different, I mean, they bring in artists from all over the world. They have different styles. It is really wonderful to see. It's not just art painted on the walls. There's some murals, but there's also some freestanding sculptures and different stuff happening. I think it's wonderful. I don't have a problem with it going to school committee, but I don't necessarily distinguish between the inside of the building and the outside of the building. If we are going to set up a process, whether it's a policy or not, I do think it would make sense to at least do an abutter notification so that people have the opportunity to at least be informed that there'd be projects going on, just like any other sort of permitted project around, so that they know that there might be, for example, it's just a good way also to have the community be aware of what's going on, especially for the one at FRR, which is going to be right on Harvard Street. And there might be some, I don't know, but there might be some sort of traffic impacts if the street needs to be closed while a lift is going up on the side of the building. I don't know how tall this is going to be. But in general, I guess I don't see the building. I don't have the same concerns that you do about the building being like not envisioned for it or something. I guess I see the buildings as evolving spaces and under the purview of the principal, sort of with the life of the school and the happiness of the students to be sort of an ever evolving thing. I would like us to have some policy around or some sort of contract around this, which has to do with the maintenance of the mural, because I would be concerned about murals that basically aren't maintained, or any public art that's not maintained, because it shouldn't be up to PSB to maintain to do any costs. And also we wouldn't necessarily have the artistic abilities to be able to maintain the art. So for example, at work, again, we had these sculptures installed last year, and some of them required some maintenance over the following year. Some of the concrete they were made out of, it was not concrete, it was some weird material. It started to crumble. And there was some sort of thing in the contract where the person came back after a year to fix them up. And I don't know how long that's going on for, but all I'm saying is it would be helpful for us to make sure we have a contract, whether it's with the Brookline Commission for the Arts or whether PSB needs to have some sort of documentation in place with the artists themselves to ensure the integrity of the art so that it continues to reflect well on the building.
So that assumes there's an artist who's doing it as opposed to children who are doing it, who will be gone, and the parents of those children will be gone. I just think it's a bigger conversation.
Well, but I think, Helen, the ideas that I heard mentioned, for example, the art going on panels, so that if and when it becomes degraded, it doesn't stay up, to fade. It can have some sort of, or maybe like these are contract things where they're on a board and then they get taken down after 5 years unless a new agreement is to put them in place or something like that. So that we agree that they still look good and we want to retain them. I don't know. I mean, and at work, I'm sure I could get a copy of the documents or the plans or policies they have at work around public art, if that would be helpful.
Yeah, I mean, I agree that, other things that aren't affixed to the buildings are a great idea to have, different kinds of, whether it's a bench at Runkle, there's a bench outside that has, tiles that kids have made. I'm not, trying to not decorate the buildings, but I worry about the integrity of the exterior of the building. That is something that I think.
But when you say integrity, do you mean physical integrity or design integrity?
Yeah.
Physical, literally the physical.
Drilling holes
okay.
into stuff. If you're, the weight, there's a lot of pieces to this. We're not in the art business,
Exactly.
and so it's, becomes, and then what happens, people leave, they're no longer at the school, and then, the schools have to deal with it. Or we end up paying $50,000 to move an art piece that, from one school to the new school, those sorts of things. So I think it's a conversation that we need to have and figure out and understand.
I don't know if they have order, but I can answer some of these questions if you like, Helen.
Sure, but let me have Nancy first say something, because she
No,
had.
no, go ahead and answer some of the questions. It's okay.
So I've done a lot of murals, and we're actually working with someone, especially for the FRR mural, and we're working with Marcy, who's an artist at the Baker mural. So we are bringing in the expertise, and specifically with the FRR mural, we're working with a Brookline native, Jason Kokonis, who's actually called into this from Thailand. I don't think he's able to speak, but
I think he's on the participant list.
yeah.
Here. Yeah.
He has a nonprofit that he started with, and he's traveled all over the world working with muralists, and has a long history of working on projects like this. He actually did a project with our Brookline schools. He's the one who did the mural of the U.S. Senator for, I can't remember if it was which school it was for.
Interior or exterior?
It was on a panel that went on the exterior also. But
then
anyways,
it
what I
was
wanted,
Wilson. It was Wilson, the artist.
yeah, what I wanted to say was that there are lots of ways that we can put this mural on the wall without doing any damage. I've done many murals. The murals are all over the world. They do not damage the integrity of a wall, and I can assure you that will not be a problem. And in terms of maintenance, there's an epoxy that can go on the mural that can keep it that way for decades, especially since we're doing it on panels. It gives us a lot of versatility in terms of how these will be maintained and when they can go up and how they go up. So these are longer conversations that can be had if you need more details. We don't need to go, but I can assure you that those concerns can definitely be addressed. But yeah, it was at Driscoll, it was the John Lewis mural that was done with Jason. And if you want, he can also speak here, but I want to respect your time and know that you have a lot of things you've been covering. But he could speak even more deeply about the process of these murals and how he works with the artists and ensures these kind of things.
For this
So the Baker School mural was actually a grant from the BCA, and Marcy has donated a lot of her time for free to work on this. And the FRR mural, we raised funds through a fundraiser last year, the BCA specifically for public art, and we are looking to do more of that to continue to raise funds. I know that Jen was also looking at doing some community fundraising. So this is all being raised from the community, from local Brookline people who want to see this, happen.
Okay, Nancy.
So I think that this is a great idea. I think that anything that brings a community together, whether it's a community within the school that eventually spills over into the outer community, which it will, I think is a wonderful, wonderful idea. Helen, I hear you about, I hear you about coming up with some sort of parameters, not necessarily rules, around how this happens. Andrew, I think that, is it possible? I don't know if this, I'm way late to the game here. So is it possible to give the mural a lifespan so that perhaps, plan some longevity or plan longevity so that it can be moved and perhaps moved inside, so that once its lifespan on the outside of the building is over, it can be brought inside so that, it can still continue to be enjoyed, and then perhaps something else can go on the outside of the building. It's almost like a rotating, art gallery of sorts, so to speak. I generally come lately here. But Helen, for instance, for the Baker schools, does the Preservation Commission need to be brought in? Does the town of Public Works need to be brought in?
The Baker worries me, it may be in a place where it would have to be moved.
Yeah, so these are just all questions. I mean, I think that this is a terrific idea. I think that anything that involves the kids and bringing the kids and.
Yeah, no, I
our school.
100%
I know
agree
you
with
do.
you. I guess the
Yeah.
question is, where do you bring them together? Within the building? Or, and because I can see this won't be the beginning of every building having, murals on the outside and
Which is
where do you
not a
put them
terrible
and
thing.
how
I
many
mean,
walls do you put them on?
Yeah,
And then,
maybe we put some parameters around how this could work. And
well,
Mariah,
first of
if
all, I
we could
think
get a
there needs to be
copy,
a process so that it goes through, before it becomes a fait accompli, which it sounds like both these projects are sort of moving forward of their own volition, that we can weigh in beforehand.
so Mariah, if
not
we could get a
afterwards, and
copy,
then, have to be maybe the bad guys, in all of this. That's the part that,
We're not gonna be the bad guys, Helen.
No
We'll
way.
figure it
well,
out.
some of us might
no
be.
way, we're the champions.
I'm not gonna be the bad guy.
No
Okay,
way.
all right.
Hey, no bad guys.
No bad guys. Mariah, if we could get a copy of how that happened at your school.
Yeah,
and
I
what
reached
was the
out to
thought
our
process that
public.
went into it.
I
What
reached
are you
out to
talking
our
about? How
public
it
art
happened at
manager.
Lawrence?
No,
No,
at
at
Northeastern. I
Yeah,
reached out to the public art manager already to ask if I can just pick his brain
at
for a couple
you.
minutes. So
Okay, yeah, no,
Okay.
and that'll sort of help us to all be better informed as to how this happens, because I personally am delighted that I would love it if every single school tried to put murals on every single inch of the exterior of their buildings, because that just means that there's pride in their school.
Helen, it's not
there's
your house.
community.
I'm not talking about my house, but it is our
Well,
house.
Helen, that's where in year 5,
It is our
that mural's
houses.
going.
It is our houses, and art is, beauty is in the eye of the beholder, right? But
Can I
that,
just talk about to your point, your question, Helen, about what should it be on the inside or the outside? From my
Both.
perspective, I really believe that our mural needs to be on the outside. There can be a lot of other stuff on the inside as well. And the reason I feel so strongly about putting it on that wall on the outside is just how our school name came to be, right? We had 2 women who went on the Hidden Brookline tour and discovered this information, and really our whole point of naming the school the way that we did was around Florida Ruffin Ridley and what she stood for, but really about uplifting her story and making sure that she is known in our town for all of the work that she did in her life. And so I really feel strongly that there aren't a lot of people. I mean, people know that the school's named after her, but they don't know who she was or what she stood for or what the incredible breadth of work that she had. And I really believe a portrait of her along with,
how big is this portrait, by the way?
I don't know, I don't think we've settled on a size, Ian, right? I think we have to.
I think it's going to depend on the funds and the artists that we work with. We're not talking all the way to the top of the building, but we're probably looking at 2 stories. And I think the other thing is that the funds for this from the BCA were raised for public art, so it is required that it be outside for the purpose of this mural. And I also think
it could be a sculpture of her with a plaque.
Well, yes, but everyone in our surveys and all of our research has asked for murals. I think murals are the way, not that there's anything wrong with sculptures, but the thing that people are asking us to prioritize are murals. So we're really responding to the voice of the community here.
Okay.
All right, well,
Wait, what are our next steps on this then, Helen?
well, I think I want to hear from Mariah about what Northeastern is doing
And what the process is.
Sort of check in with a couple other people, with Charlie and see, how things have held up at some of our other schools where we have had murals. And
Do we need to involve the building commission too, like Dan from buildings, or?
no,
you know
it
what I
would be
mean?
Charlie from operations.
That would be Charlie. Okay,
Would be
okay.
Charlie. And, he did weigh in somewhat with Marcy already, that it can't be painted on the building.
Yep.
I think it would be, sorry, but I think it would be good to connect them with Jason if we can figure out a time that works for Jason and for them, because he's a professional who understands a lot of this process and could answer a lot of their questions that they have.
Okay.
So that they
That sounds
don't
good.
go down worrying about things that are probably
That are
unnecessary
easily
for-
solved,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. I agree.
Helen, Jason did have his hand raised earlier. He doesn't now, but would you
Oh.
like to hear from him now? Just to-
Oh,
just
Okay,
to-
sure.
All right, since we're here.
But I think it may take a second
I
conversation.
didn't know he was here.
Sorry,
about that.
Jason.
Hi, Jason.
Hi, hello.
Hi.
You guys
We
hear
can,
me?
we can hear you.
Oh, hi. Thank you for inviting me here today. I'm really excited to be here. I'm really excited to talk about murals, which is my passion. It's been my passion for a long time. I would just like to clear up any concerns around the actual process of painting these murals. Basically, every single question that we've had so far, there's been a clear-cut solution that I've worked with, and I've experienced all these problems in the past. So from a logistical standpoint, I don't know if we want to hear all about that today with our short amount of time, but I'd be able to answer all those questions. And I'd also just like to voice my gratitude for the Northeastern project. That really is an amazing campus. And some of the murals there are truly incredible. And I've gotten to know some of the artists personally. Like, for example, the big El Mac mural. He's an artist.
I just sent the link to the Northeastern site with the murals to the subcommittee. So if anyone wants to know what Jason's talking about, you have it in your inbox. You can see the website.
Yeah, there's this really incredible mural by this artist named El Mac, and it's one of the best murals I've seen, not only in Boston, but around the world. And I've gotten to know him personally. So it's really great seeing artists I've known personally and their amazing works in Boston. And I feel like we can do a very similar thing with Brookline. I think this is exactly what Brookline needs right now. There's a little bit of life through murals and being able to connect with both the students and the community. I know by doing the John Lewis mural and murals at other different schools that the response that you receive both from the community and the actual community and the street art community is just overwhelming. I've had multiple people reach out to me just to see the John Lewis mural and get a location on it. And I think it would be really great for Brookline to get a little bit of color and really connect with the students and engage the community in something that we can all appreciate in art.
But this is doing a mural of Florida Ruffin Ridley is not the students doing it, right?
No, but the idea is that the entire mural process is connected with the students. Impact Walls, my organization, really believes in engagement. That's at the forefront of our project and our mission. And through multiple projects before, there's many different ways we can connect to the students, whether that is in the mural selection process, the actual mural painting process, and then things that go on after that. But every step of the way, students will be involved. And that's something that I would correlate Impact Walls and the BCA would correlate with the Florida Ruffin Ridley School. And those are those are longer conversations and other meetings that we'll have, but engagement is 100% going to be happening in the project.
Yeah, Jason and I actually met each other when he was doing the Driscoll project because my daughter was involved in it, and she still to this day talks about that amazing experience and the connection that she had in her social studies class with her teacher about the mural and what it's for. So that's our connection with each other was through that.
Okay, all right. So I think what we need to do is do a little bit of homework and come back next month. We're going to have a meeting next month and get, well, Jen, you won't be here, will you?
For me?
I will not be
Oh,
here
Jen.
next month, but I mean, I'm happy to like join. I'm happy to whoever is.
Well, I think we'd need to have
interim.
the new, whoever is being appointed the new principal, we can have that person here. But
Jen, you are welcome to come. Of course you are.
yeah, it's a public meeting, of course. But I think, I mean, it's certainly up to you. I'm not trying to exclude you in any way.
No way.
But why don't we try and get some things together for next time and go a little further in terms of where we want to go with whether it's a policy or procedures or whatever, to be clear to people so that we aren't 3/4 of the way down the road and then we hear about it.
Ellen, are you going to bring this up as new business in school committee?
Say,
Are you going to
sorry?
suggest this as a new business agenda item in school committee?
I don't think
different
it's
policy?
ready yet to go to school committee, but yeah,
Okay.
when it is, yes. probably.
Okay.
Okay. All right, well, thank you. Thank you all for coming, and we still need to do our minutes, but I appreciate
Oh,
all
yeah.
your hard work and what you're trying to do for the kids. That's really important. So,
Thank you so much for
you.
your time. Appreciate it.
yeah, thank you, Jason.
Yeah,
And you'll
thank you
send
so
us the
much.
information, everybody. I think we have all the information. I think I saw something on impact walls, but I'm not sure. So Jason, if you have that, send it to Betsy Fitzpatrick, if you could.
Jason, you can send it to me and I can forward it on.
Okay, that sounds good.
Okay, all right, great.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank
for
you all
the-
for coming and taking your time here.
Yeah, and I'm happy to share any expertise. I've been consulting also with a mural artist in the Cape who works mostly with school groups where the students of multiple ages are painting. So I've been relying on her in as far as the best practices when you have multiple people painting a mural. So if you need any expertise in that area, I'm happy to connect you. All
Sure. Okay, thank you.
right, thanks, everybody.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
Bye-bye. And we need to approve the minutes from which I left off. Does somebody want to move it?
I'll move it.
Did we
Okay,
get them?
that's it. Mariah,
Did we get them?
Yes.
we did.
What did they say?
It was a while ago. It was, the minutes were from a while ago. And right
No, we
now,
already
Those
did-
were the-
no,
Those were
no,
the
we
really
already-
old ones?
No, we did those last time. We did those on the first. These were the minutes from the meeting on the first, that half-hour meeting we had about the
Oh.
upholstering of the chairs at Lincoln. So you only got them on Friday from Thursday's meeting, so we could
Okay.
put it off till the next meeting.
Let me just look real quick and then, oh yeah, I read those. Okay, yes, I vote yes.
okay, so we'll vote Nancy
Yes.
and Mariah,
Yes.
and I vote yes. So the minutes are done. Just in terms of meeting in July and August, are you guys going to be around? I said we were going to meet, but I mean,
I'll be in Brazil, but I can meet virtually.
okay. And the 4 o'clock works in terms of Brazil? I mean, it can be at another time. Because you're not
Fine with
working.
me. It's only an hour difference there.
Oh, an hour ahead, right?
Yeah, they're Atlantic time, not Eastern.
So it would be 5.
Yeah. that's
I mean,
fine.
what about you, Nancy? Is there a
Yeah.
preference?
Yeah, no problem. 4 o'clock's
Okay,
fine.
so let's.
I won't
be
have a
realistic.
cachaça like Mariah will, but I would.
I won't have a cachaça either.
But
So
yeah, that
let's
works.
I won't be wearing a string bikini on the beach.
A big-
Oh, sounds
Sleeping
wonderful.
That's right, with a big feather headdress, with a monkey on my shoulder and an alligator on my other shoulder. None of that.
Guys,
was
there
possible.
are people listening here.
I know.
Oh,
It's okay. We
yeah.
can be silly. I don't mind that they hear me.
No,
being
it's okay.
silly.
We can have some fun too.
That's right. Once in a while, we
so-
can be fun.
I'm looking at the 11th as a possibility.
Hold on.
Is this, Betsy, will you send the dates out like by email? I'm sure
Yeah.
whatever it is fine.
Yeah.
It's on, I think it's a recurring event on my calendar, Helen. So if it's the same
Yeah,
date.
the
as usual,
second,
it should
the
be fine.
second Tuesday of the month, in both August and it may change, but let's try and do that. And do some of the work that we have to do for next year over the summer. I think it'll be good to
What
be
What
up?
was it? July what? July, the second Tuesday? of
11?
July?
July
Yeah, I'm here.
13th.
Yeah, no
Oh,
problem.
I mean,
13th?
June 13th, excuse me, and
No,
July.
that's next week. It's July 11th
July 11th
and August 8th.
and
Thank you.
August.
Thank you.
But Helen,
August 8th, I'm away, but I can probably take this virtually.
Helen, just to get clarity on scheduling, one of the things that we had talked, I know that this might all sort of be an upheaval given Matt's departure, and Susan's here too. I don't know if Susan, you're actively listening or just here logged in, but
I'm actively listening and
Thank you,
available.
Susan, for joining us.
yeah, thanks. I guess my question is wanting to make sure that we're doing our when's the like we did last year, when's the CIP due, and working our way backwards. And one of the things that I thought we had done last year, but then it seemed like there was still a little bit of a miscommunication between Matt and Charlie, was the exact projects that are preferred that are being prioritized for FY 25. So it would
For
be
the
really
mini CIP you're
for the
talking
mini, exactly, within the larger list of projects that are still to be done. So I think we need a reconciliation of the 16 million, which it seemed when Charlie looked at that list, which I thought had been done over the summer, but then later on he said he hadn't. He said there was a whole bunch of things that had already been done through the regular repair and maintenance budget that should be checked off. And then the question of what was being prioritized, and he had a different suggestion for how to prioritize. It all worked out fine this year, but I'd love it if we actually had agreement on the dollar value of the deferred maintenance and the, like, which projects are actually
about.
included.
And the path forward, yeah.
And exactly, and the path forward for how to address them. So I guess it's really like a question for maybe just for Susan of if there's an ETA for getting a new director of operations on board, and if that's something that we can prioritize to have them review this list with Charlie and check off the things that are done. And Susan, you probably have no idea which list I'm talking about, but we can talk about it later. There's basically a long list of deferred maintenance projects, which we can give you access to and walk you through.
Okay, I don't seem to have a way to raise my hand, so I apologize for just jumping in.
It's okay, don't even apologize.
So, yeah, my thinking is that Charlie and Matt and I and the new director can sit down and go through that together so that you know, we have some clarity around, first of all, what the list is, you know, what's been done, what the priorities are for next year. And I don't see why that couldn't be done before Matt leaves.
That'd
That
be
would be
great.
terrific, because then we could present it on the 11th and look it over.
Yeah, I don't see a problem with that. What would be helpful to me is if somebody could just send me the list, and when I get back to Brookline, it'll be in my inbox, and then prompt me to follow up, since I'm not there today.
Right? Mariah, or do you still have?
So I had the version that we put in Google Docs, but then for some reason staff downloaded it and edited it and didn't upload that. So I need to find the version of it that has been emailed to us, which is not in Google Drive. So I will take that action item to dredge that out of my email and find it for you, Susan, and forward it to you.
Yeah, that would be
Forward it
great.
to
Just
all
give me
of
a
us.
memory,
Yeah, I'll forward
just to
it.
give me a memory aid.
And I don't promise that is the final iteration, because the whole point of it being in Google Docs was that we all had access to the latest version, but then that practice slid away and I don't know where it's at right now.
Okay.
So, but I will send you the last version, the one that we voted last August, I think it was.
Okay.
And wasn't that 13 million?
I don't know.
That's what I remember.
It might be
I don't
13
remember
without the
it's-
Baldwin. I don't know, because remember there was a couple projects that were huge, and then most of it was dribs and drabs, like repairing the third floor stairwell treads for $1,000. So let's find it, and then we'll go from there. Because ultimately, whatever the dollar amount is, Charlie said when he looked at it, it was there were some projects he recognized as already being complete. So that's good news, though.
Yeah.
The deficit's smaller than we thought it was, so I'll go look for it now so that we have it handy. And I'll
Okay,
send it around to Susan and Betsy. I'll send it to you too, and the entire capital subcommittee.
and it'll be important for us to have that then, you know,
And Matt.
Susan, if you can have that conversation with them beforehand, so that at the 11th, Charlie and you can, you know, walk us through it, and then we can, you know, make together some decisions as to what our priorities would be for the following year CIP, assuming it's $1 million, it may not, but maybe more. So that would be great.
Well, if you remember, Helen, we've had staff put in priorities, and the priorities tallied 3-point-something million for FY24, and we only got $1 million, but it was, at least we had indicated the sort of top, we had divided into roughly 6 buckets, if you recall. Anyways, we can look back at it. You'll see, because that's all mapped out in the, like, each project was assigned to a priority and a fiscal year.
So Susan, just so you understand, some of the items on the list are items that either Matt or Charlie have put on there over the years. some of them are from principals and their desires for whether it's a new science lab or something like that. And I think the ones from the principals would be good to sort of go over and see what's a need and what's a want on those.
Anyway, we'll
Yeah.
send,
Yeah, that would be helpful to have the list, and then I can work with Matt to visit each site and have a conversation with the principal about you know, what they have on the list already and any potential new items that they feel is important to bring forward. I'll do the best I can to get all of that done by the next meeting.
You know, if
Again,
it doesn't all get done, whatever we have, we'll work on, and then,
Yeah.
you know, we're going to be meeting again in August. The idea is to get it sort of in place so that we're ready for the CIP process with what we would use it for. Also, we have to do our own, whatever else that we want from the CIP, the Baldwin School being, you know, that one of the questions. So, okay.
Yeah.
Anything
Not a
else?
problem.
Is there any new business or old business? I let you out 8 minutes early. Andy had to leave at 5:30, he had told me ahead of time, so. All right,
thank you.
all.
Bye.
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 Have a good evening.